I hate to admit this, but it is the truth. And it's interesting because if I could actually do what I did and became the person that I am right now, and the person I'm right now is not even close to the type of person I'd like to be, but I'm a hell of a lot different, which I'd say is improved because I'm healthier mentally. I used to be in a place, used to be in a state of mind. Not even in the state of mind is the weirdest thing. I'd like to say it's maybe I was a narcissist, and it's crazy to even admit that because a narcissist they truly hate themselves, but they don't realize it. And then to compensate for that hate, because the hate is a lack of self-love. They don't have it. They can't. I mean, I'd like to say they can't, but I mean, I'm coming from a place that I'm coming from a similar place. So I'd like to say that's not correct. But the problem is rewiring your brain in order to accept yourself and love yourself, and that's a friggin' process and a half. And I like to say I'm 10% better, which, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a tremendous amount. And I know I'm 10% because I'm still in a very dysfunctional place. But I'm mentioning all this because it's okay. Because I've come so far from the way I used to be. And I used to be a very, I like to say, selfish person. And the selfishness, as I learned from my experiences, was, I didn't think of others really. Or if I did think of others, it was only done because it would make them feel good or because it would be the right thing to do. Or because I just thought, you know what, there's a sense of perfection behind doing what is right, which is different than doing, or at least in this context, is different than doing the right thing. I did things because I had to, or there was a purpose besides because I really emotionally wanted to, and I was coming from a very loving place. So I did things out of like a standard, as opposed to it really having emotional meaning to me, meaning that it had value in my heart. And because of that, I generally have lived like that. That's why I would forget birthdays, or I'd forget special occasions, maybe an anniversary or something significant to anybody. None of that really played an emotional meaning to me. So I'd be reminded, and then I'd go do something. I'd do something for them, or I'd go get them a card, or I'd go buy them something. And, almost as if like that had meaning, It didn't have any meaning. And anyone could think, no, that's okay. At least you have, did something for them, and at least you were trying to like make them feel important and all that. No, I wasn't. I was just doing it because it was the right thing to do. I was doing it because, in a way, I felt like I had to, but then I didn't realize I had that feeling I had to. I didn't feel pressured, but as opposed to when I say had to, I kind of feel like, if someone holds a door for you, right? You almost feel like you have to say thank you. You say thank you not because, a lot of times we don't say thank you because we really mean it. We say it because it's an instinct, and that's kind of like what I'm comparing it to. And I'm not saying people don't have a meaningful thank yous. All I'm saying is I'm trying to relate it to the simple fact of it's almost like it's what you do, And that day would be over, or me being there saying whatever I had to say to support whatever the purpose was. And it would just be in the past. None of it was really emotional, meaningful to me. Nothing. I can't remember more times in my life that just generally I'd fake laugh. I'd fake an interest. And I know people fake laugh and fake interest just generally. I get it. But that's kind of like just how I was. What I'm trying to say is I was never really authentically connected. Meaning, no, I really am enjoying this moment. And having more of those moments than being fake or acting or trying to be funny or, trying to, be a part of, instead of like questioning things and wondering where do I stand with how I'm interpreting anything, and have my own independence, meaning it's okay if like I'm wrong, or if it's okay if I'm excluded. I never had any of that. I was always like, no, I can't be excluded, and you know what? I'm always going to be right. And more times than not, all arguments, or most arguments that I would have, wouldn't be about me trying to understand the truth, whether I had the truth or someone else did, but rather I'm correct regardless. That's a very narcissistic thing to always be right. Sometimes or a lot of times throughout my life, I would be looking at people, almost no matter what age. I could even remember as a kid and just wonder, as I see somebody, and I'm like, wow, they're so authentic. The way they're laughing, or the way they're smiling, or just the way they are, it seems very authentic to me. Very real and pure and innocent. And I was like, I wish I could be like that. So many times in my life I would confront that, and I still do, but I'm getting better at it, is what I'm saying, which is why I could even say any of this, because I used to not even, none of this would even be a thought if I didn't actually realize, any of this. And I used to also, in just conversations with people, whoever, I'd always like point out the negative, or I'd be like all like congratulatory, or all like, oh, that's great, or oh, good job, but then I'd throw in like this perspective, against, or that made them question, is it right, is it good, is it okay? And I didn't do that to be evil. I didn't do that to like hurt them. I did it, and I didn't realize I was doing this, but I started reflecting on this. I'm like, I'm doing this because it's almost as if I'm embarrassed, or I'm afraid, right? I was embarrassed to be all like nice, but it wasn't a meaningful nice, meaning like it sounded meaningful, it seemed meaningful, but like I just said it, but like I was like, no, how I really mean is, here's the, I'm going to question something, and it wouldn't be really supportive. Nothing really crazy where I'd be like, outcasted as like this totally negative person, but I think people would realize, I think they'd realize, it's almost like a sixth sense, like, why are you being negative, or I don't like what you just said, or you're being pessimistic, or you're questioning this. And I don't know if anyone would really be doing that themselves after I would make a comment of this or that, but I could feel like there would be like a disconnection, and I would feel bad in a way. I'm like, I just said something like negative, but then sometimes I wouldn't even notice I said something negative, or something that wouldn't be supportive, and I'd be like, and they maybe would comment against it, and I'd be like all supportive of what I just said to prove them wrong. And it was like, look, if you're like this, all I'm going to say is, you may not realize it, but you're not happy. You're going to act happy. You're going to make it seem like you're happy, but you're really just afraid. And I didn't realize this. This is the way I was. I was really just afraid. Really afraid to just have emotions and care. And, you know, allow myself just to be. And, I never really had that, And I was always jealous of people that did, or I'd always try to be the funny person, or I'd always try to be, intelligent. And I never realized every time I would be like this or like that or anyway, I was all these ways. It almost seems like all these different personality styles, all these different ways of being, trying to act cool and tough, trying to act macho and like I'm a badass, trying to act quiet and reserved, on purpose to just, I'm too cool to say anything. I didn't realize all these were ways to compensate to just be alive. All these were ways that my mind allowed me to exist and have some kind of meaning, but it was all false meaning. It was all inside, created from within my mind, that I had some kind of importance. And it was a false sense. And it wouldn't matter. I don't know if anyone else had the same opinion of me, but it's almost like, if your personality style changes because you're trying to be cool, or you're trying to impress somebody, or I'm a guy and I'm into girls. So if there was a girl, attractive and stuff, and I would all of a sudden act differently. This is very similar. How I lived was very similar, but that's how I would live all the time. It wasn't just here or there. It was just a way of life. And I think I'm starting to get it. For me to be able to even say any of this is crazy, because I wouldn't even have any of these ideas. Or they wouldn't mean anything. They wouldn't exist, at least not for me, if I never changed. And I'm going to say that the reason why this is so difficult is because it's all mental. And there's an emotional part to this where there's a very negative emotion, hateful emotion inside me. And I'm working on that. But simultaneously, there's a mental program, meaning my mind has a hard time allowing me to be me. It allows me to be capable in so many different ways, but the one thing it doesn't allow me to be capable of is just being authentic in me. And I realize that. And it sucks. But I believe if I've improved this far, maybe one day I will be able to be fully who I was meant to be, and just to love myself, as simple as that sounds. I believe one day I'll be able to do that and love just being alive with who I am, If I can do it, and I feel like I've been through hell with just my brain, then you can do it.